That's all it really took.
The man who was instrumental in getting a track coach off the job speaks out tonight. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Jim Cambridge. We've been digging all day and have learned much more tonight about the track coach from Shenendehowa High School who was dismissed from the job yesterday. Don Paretta was suspended after police and the school district learned that his teaching license had been revoked in 1996 following accusations of sexual abuse.
News Channel 13 Sabrina Adami's been searching documents and seeking answers all day, and Sabrina joins us live now. What do we know tonight, Sabrina?
Well, Benita, apparently the Shen School District claims they never knew Don Paretta was charged with sex abuse, and his teaching license was not revoked until after he was hired.
These pictures of Don Paretta from his Facebook page.
He slipped through the cracks.
Robert Reese says he contacted state police after learning of Paretta's background.
I gave that information to the state police. They investigated, and within one day, they found that this was the same person who was teaching at Shenendehowa.
Back in 1992, the now former Shen coach was a phys ed teacher at a school in Manhattan. That's when police charged him with sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy. The charges were adjourned in contemplation of dismissal, an agreement that allowed the charges to be dropped 6 months later. Then in 1996, the New York State Department of Education revoked Paretta's teaching license because of the sex abuse allegations. But 1 year before that, in 1995, Shen High School hired Paretta as a track coach, and he continued working even after his license had been revoked. The district posted a statement on their website today claiming they never knew about any of this.
His license was revoked by the state education department within just a few months of being hired by Shenendehowa. He knew about it.
So where does Robert Reese fit into all this? He says he's a victim of sex abuse and now works as an advocate for other victims. He was contacted by a friend to take a look into Paretta's background. And he knows Paretta from his days at Columbia High School in East Greenbush before Paretta went to Manhattan.
Don Paretta was our track coach.
Don Paretta has also been a part-time assistant track coach at RPI for 8 years. A spokesman says they just learned about Paretta's background yesterday and they're looking into it. But as of right now, he still has a job at RPI. Now, we just got reaction from the superintendent at Shenendehowa moments ago. You'll hear what he has to say live at 6. For now, reporting live, Sabrina Adami, News Channel 13.
Thanks, Sabrina. When we first reported on Coach Paretta last night at 11, we identified him as a level 1 sex offender. That was not accurate, and we regret the error. As Sabrina reported, Paretta was arrested in 1992 and charged with sexually abusing a student in Manhattan. He lost his teaching certificate as a result of those charges, but they were later dismissed by agreement with a judge. This all happened before the state sex offender registry was established in 1996.
Live from WTEN, this is News 10 at noon on the news station.
Shenendehowa suspends a track coach after finding out about an arrest that took his teaching license more than 10 years ago. Well, Shenendehowa suspended that coach, Don Paretta, immediately when school leaders found out that he had been without a license at the school for more than a decade. Before he even came to Shen, police had arrested Paretta on a charge of abusing young boys at a Manhattan school. News 10's Anya Tucker is live with more details on Coach Paretta's past and the school's response. Anya.
Well, Demetra, this is what school officials and State Board of Education officials are telling us this noon. They tell us that boys track coach here at Shen, Don Paretta, has been suspended without pay after school officials learned yesterday that he has been teaching and the track coach here for more than 13 years and he has not had a license. Now, going back in time, this is what the Department of Education officials are telling us, that Paretta was arrested back in 1992. The charge against him was sodomy involving a then 15-year-old male student in Manhattan when Paretta was living in Brooklyn. Now, it is important to note that he was never convicted on that charge. But years later, in 1996, Paretta was hired by the Shen district. That same year, we are being told by school officials and State Board of Education officials that Paretta's license was revoked by the state. The State Department of Education telling me by phone this noon that a letter went out to all districts across the state, but for some reason, Shen officials tell me they have no record of receiving that letter, and they tell us that Paretta never informed them as to the revocation of his license. They only learned of this yesterday, and that is when they tell us he was immediately suspended without pay. Of course, lots of information to be uncovered. We are doing our digging right now, making many phone calls, and we will have more information for you coming up in later editions of News 10. For now, we are live in Clifton Park. Anya Tucker, back to you.
Britt? Hey there, Kate. Papers released by the state DOE say that it was determined at a hearing back in 1995 that Paretta's teaching certificate should be revoked because of a sexual relationship he had with a student at Manhattan High School where he coached. According to the hearing officer in that document, he says, "In my opinion, the facts clearly establish a sexual relationship existed between student and teacher, and that the teacher was not averse to continuing that relationship after the student graduated. It is unconscionable that a teacher would take advantage of a student in such a manner." According to the documents, the investigation began in 1993 within the New York City School District. A mother came forward with her son's journal describing a sexual relationship between 1989 and 1990. The documents say investigators had the student call Paretta, who stated he would like to sleep with him again. And the documents also say Paretta gave the student $20 upon graduation.
Good evening. I'm Greg Floyd.
And I'm Dory Marlin. Our top story, a 14-year-old secret exposed, and tonight a local track coach is off the job. The Shenendehowa School District suspended that high school track coach tonight after learning that his teaching certification had been revoked not long after the district hired him back in 1995. As Teresa Priolo reports, it was a man on a mission who brought Coach Don Paretta's past to light.
If Dr. Oliver Robinson has any say, the Shenendehowa varsity boys track coach Don Paretta will be fired come Tuesday night for coaching without the proper certification, even though he's been around for 14 years. According to state ed, it was revoked back in '95. The reason? Allegations of sexual misconduct with a teenage boy.
His comment to me that it never occurred, it was an accusation. It never occurred, and I said, I'm not here to debate that with you. I'm just simply here to tell you that effective immediately you're dismissed from your position.
The district says they had no idea Paretta didn't have the proper certification because when he was hired, it was still valid. The state says they told the school back in '96 and action wasn't taken. Dr. Robinson maintains Paretta should have spoken up.
He should have been more forthright to say, you know what, my certification was revoked and here's the issue. You guys need to make a decision if you want to continue having me as a coach or not. That opportunity, as far as I know, was never provided.
All of this may have never come to light if it wasn't for this guy, Robert Reese, a victims' rights advocate who says he was contacted by a teammate at Columbia High School where Paretta coached in the '80s, who believes Paretta abused boys then.
I told my friend that he was a teacher at Shenendehowa High School, and he was astonished, dumbfounded. And he said, Bobby, please, he said, would you get him fired? Could you please help me out?
Reese did some digging and found back in '92, Paretta was charged in Brooklyn for sexually abusing a teenager. According to the NYPD, the case was dropped because the victim wouldn't testify. Paretta wasn't convicted, but it was enough for state ed to revoke his certification.
So what I did was I took that information to the state police, and within 2 days they were able to remove him from the school.
We were talking about the first day we heard it a little bit, but I think that if they have accusations of him anyway, I think he shouldn't be around kids.